very disturbing story from this summer was the shooting of an unarmed young black man in Ferguson and the aftermath of that. And I think there too we have seen, in terms of race, the experience that African Americans have in this country and say that they experience versus the way whites viewed this issue. And I'm wondering, Margie, can you help us figure out where do Jews fit in here and where should they fit in?
Sure. So I think that Jews have a really interesting role to play in this. One of the thinking about it is really just what happened in Ferguson this summer with the murder of Michael Brown is actually, it's not new at all. A black man or a black person has been killed by a white police officer twice a week for the last 10 years. That's
a shocking statistic.
Yeah. So I think that.
And are all of those unarmed? Or
not all of them are unarmed, but I think when you look at that all together,
right,
there's really a picture of white police officers murdering black people at a staggering rate that isn't new. And I think it really calls into question, the very culture that we have in the United States around whether or not Black lives matter. And I think that is that's really the crux of this. So I think that there's a really interesting role for the Jewish community to play in this. Which is, number one, I think it's extremely important for us to think about, all of the Jews of color that are in our communities and to make sure that we're not rehashing this idea that all Jews are white and the kind of marginalizing of Jews of color that happens in these conversations. And the other piece is really, I think that, the reparations movement for African Americans in the US that is starting to gain some traction, at least in conversations, is a really inspiring one. And I think that as Jews, we can take the lessons of the reparations between Germany and Israel as an international example that we can draw on. And we could actually be a really powerful force here in the US of supporting reparations.
My response to that is more general. It's, like, what can Jews do? Like, tikkun olam, repair the world, see injustice, know that it's happening, speak up about it, do something about it. It's one of the things that matters so much in social justice movements is the notion of allies.
Do you think that the Jewish community in America would rally around that idea, that it would be sort of, remember how Gal Beckerman wrote a book about the Soviet Jewry and the Refusnik movement, and how this was an issue that just bound all Jews from all political backgrounds and worldviews together. And I'm wondering if sort of throwing their weight around the reparations idea is something that American Jews could, from different walks of life, could come together on as well.
I don't think so.
No?
I mean, not that I don't think it's a good idea, but
I'm curious why.
I just think that we tend to, unfortunately care more about our own, or fortunately or not.
Well, I'm myself not so sure it is the right way to address the issue. With, what is it, $70 billion paid out for reparations for Holocaust survivors. There still are poor Holocaust survivors living in our midst. So I'm not so sure the money is the right way to doing it, but I wonder.
But even the notion that that's valid, that reparations, that it's not just the, it's not just the core evil of slavery. It's all of the ways in which blacks in America were disenfranchised in everyday life.